So here I'm back with another Photoshop tutorial. Welcome all Photoshop lovers to a new tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I made this zombie or danger sign in Photoshop. For those of you who are new to my channel or to my videos, I just post Photoshop tutorials and I'm specialized in photo manipulations because this is what I like the most. And go check my channel if you like what you see here. Just subscribe to my channel and click that bell icon to get a notification every time I upload a new video. Also on my website you will find a link that will allow you to download this PSD file for free along with the assets that you will need for this. The link is on the video description. And that being said, let's get started. So I'm going to create a new document. Actually, I'm going to get the size of this by going to Edit, Copy, Merge. That way I will keep the size, and when you create a new document you will see that the size is automatically set for you. The width is 1100 pixels and 1500 for the height. Let's name this zombie. Okay, let's create the document, and this is our canvas. Now we're going to start by creating a solid color adjustment. So we're gonna go here and create a solid color adjustment. We're gonna set it on black, and I'm gonna delete the background because I no longer need it. The reason why I use this instead of just filling with the color is because I can change this. I know I'm not gonna change it, but just in case, you can come here and you can change it whenever you want. That's why I use this adjustment. The next thing we want to do is create the guides, because we want to have this black border around here. Let me hide the extras by pressing Ctrl-Command-H. Down on the bottom you will see the keyboard shortcut that I'm using, and we have to create the guide. So I'm going to go to View and choose New Guide Layout. This is, I think it's new in Photoshop. If you have like Photoshop CS4 or CS3, I think this was not available on that version. We're not going to use columns. This is to create web layouts or apps. So we're not going to use columns or rows. We're just going to use margins. Let's try 50 for the left, bottom, and right. And you can see the guides here. I'm going to click OK. And now I'm going to use the rounded rectangular tool. And we're going to use a yellow fill. I have some colors here. If you want to choose your personal color, just click here and the color picker will open up. So I'm going to use that. Stroke, we're going to deactivate it. And for the radius, let's try with 40 pixels. Let's see how that works. Yeah, kind of too big for my taste. I'm going to set it on 30 pixels, and I'm going to click just here on that corner and just drag my shape, and this is how it looks like. Now the next thing we want to do is create a second layout of grids, because we want to also have all the text and all the content inside of this yellow, let's call it rectangle, well, this box here, and we want to have some margins so that everything is lined up correctly. So what we're going to do is going to go to View and choose New Guide Layout again. But this time we're just going to put it on the left, on the right, and on the top. So bottom, we don't need it. Top, let's put it at maybe double that size that we had. So let's try 100, left 100, and right 100. Okay, so now I'm gonna have to create all the content inside of this area over here. Using guides is always a good idea because we're gonna have everything perfectly aligned. So that being said, let's start creating the text and all of that. First, we're gonna start by creating this black rectangle here. I'm gonna use the same tool, the same rounded rectangle tool, and I'm gonna use the same radius, but I'm gonna change the color to black. Also, I forgot to mention, make sure you have this set to shape, not to path or pixels. Okay, let me undo that and create a new layer. And now I'm going to set the fill to black. Otherwise, if you have a vector shape selected or vector layer and you change the settings here, it's going to change that shape. Okay, so we have to create a new blank layer. Let me undo that. Create a blank layer and then you change the settings. Okay, let's create 370 pixels or something like that, about that big. Next, I'm gonna use the same tool, but this time I'm gonna increase the radius to something huge, like 1000, because we wanna have rounded sides, okay? See that? So first I'm gonna create a new layer. Let's create a new guide in the middle so that we have everything centered. I'm gonna go to view and I'm gonna choose new guide and I'm gonna type 50 and percent. You can set the percentage here and I'm gonna choose a vertical. You can also put centimeters, millimeters, whatever, but I want it in percentage because I want it in the middle. Click OK. And now I'm gonna change, with this new layer created, I'm gonna change the color to red. Let's name the layers here so we have it easier. I'm gonna use the colors names, yellow, black, and this one will be red. So on the red layer, I'm gonna click right here where the guide is. I'm gonna click right on the guide, and now I'm gonna press the Option or Alt if you're on a PC, and that way you can size from the center. And since I clicked on that guide, it's gonna start creating this from the center. And I'm gonna do something like that. I'm gonna do it again because when I let go of the pen, it's making it smaller. Okay. Anyways, you can size it up afterwards. Now, in order to center, to make sure that everything is centered here, basically the black and the red, I'm gonna select both of them. I'm gonna select the Move tool and I'm gonna click this buttons here to align it vertically and horizontally. Now, on the red layer, I'm gonna double click here on an empty space on the layer so that I open the layer styles, and I'm gonna add a stroke. We're gonna add a white stroke on the outside. I have the settings from when I recorded the Spanish version of the tutorial, so about 8 pixels. Obviously, these settings work for this canvas size. If you make something really huge, you have to change the settings over here, but visually you should have something like this, not really thick. So you don't want to have something like that. It's not looking nice. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at 8 pixels for this. Blend mode normal, opacity 100%, and position outside, fill type color. Click OK. And inside of this thing over here, we're going to add the text. So let's get the text tool, make the foreground color white, and click in here, and let's type, I think keep out or danger, whatever you want to type. For example, you can use Highland, sorry. I think for the original I used Impact. It's pretty much the same kind of font, a clean one without serifs. You can, in Photoshop, you can deactivate or you can change the type. Here when you see the filter, where it says all classes, choose sans serif, and you will get all the sans serif fonts, okay? I used the Impact, I think. Highlands also work. Let me make it just a little bigger from the center. And now in order to center the text with the red, I'm gonna select the text and the red layers. By pressing the Shift key, you can select both layers. And with the Move tool, you will see that these icons show up here on the top toolbar, center vertically and horizontally. And we're done with this. Next, let's add the second text here. And for the second text, I used a Stencil font, zombie outbreak. Let's type the text first and then we can move on with the font. Let's change the color to black. For this second text, I use, as I said, the Stencil font. You will have it on the resources folder. You can use pretty much any font that you want, but the Stencil fonts work great for this. Now I'm gonna use one that I already have downloaded, but on the original I used one called Stencil, and I couldn't find it, so I downloaded another one which is called Lee Architect. Let me reset my filter. Lee Architect, you can see it has this look to it. Now you can download your own font. I'm gonna show you where you can do that. So if you go to this web called dafont.com, if you go to the fantasy, you can change the language from here, from the top. On the fantasy, you can find the Stencil Army section, and from here you can type your text if you want to see how it looks like. And this one looks great, for example, and the Stencil fonts what they have this kind of a broken parts. This one also look great. Some of them have this kind of distressed texture on them, which is great because you can give another look to your text, and you can download them from free. Just download them from there and install them on your computer. Okay, so let me fix this now. In order to make it look better, I'm gonna increase the size, and the outbreak I'm gonna select it and make it smaller to fit that zombie size. Now I'm gonna click this icon over here, which allows me to change the height of the text, well, the height and the spacing of the letters. So you can play with this. About 30 I think will work. We're gonna leave it right over here. I think it looks great. I could center it with the yellow layer, so I could select the text and then the yellow layer. And next we're gonna add those zombie silhouettes over there. Here inside, yeah, this was the font. Inside the resources folder, you'll find the font Lee Architect, the one that I used. And then you also have a folder with the silhouettes. Here you will have them in PNG format for those of you who don't have Illustrator. So I'm gonna grab this one and paste it right over there as a smart object. The size is pretty much perfect. Actually, I can make it even bigger, like so. And then let's get another one, probably this one. The ones that are from the side look better, I think. And put it right over there, align it with the other one and make it bigger. Like that. Now I'm gonna add a color overlay because I wanna have them on black. Okay, and copy with Alt click and drag the FX icon to the other one. And we're good to go. Now let's see what else. We have this other text which I'm gonna copy I'm gonna copy the whole layer because I don't wanna spend time typing the text. You can type whatever you want. What I do want to show you is how I created those lines over there. I'm going to show you that in just a second. Let me center this with the yellow layer. Okay, now let me show you, oops, let's lock that. Okay, let me show you how I created this horizontal lines and how I made it. I made it creating actually a custom brush. It's really easy. Let's create a new layer. And first we're gonna create the horizontal line, like that horizontal black bar if you want. And we're gonna fill it with black, Alt backspace with the foreground color set to black. We create this. Now, the next thing we wanna do is create a brush that will create those holes in it. And the way I did that is really easy. Create a new layer and create a thin shape like this and pretty long, like so. Make sure you don't make it too thick because it's gonna look weird. Something like that. And we're gonna fill that with black. Now, we're gonna turn this into a brush. With this selection still active, I'm gonna go to Edit and define Brush Preset. And I'm gonna click OK. I'm not going to give it a name. And I'm gonna delete that layer because I no longer need it. The brush, I already have it here. But now we have to adjust it. Go to Window and choose brush settings. Usually I have that panel right over here, but just so you can see where I got it from. Increase the spacing. We're gonna see how much we need. We're gonna create tests. So on this layer, let's name it, that I just created, let's name it bar. Okay, this is the layer. On this layer, I'm gonna create a layer mask. And as I added this brush, I'm going to test it right over here to see if the spacing is what I want. So it's too much in my case. I'm going to reduce it a little bit, even more. The size, I'm going to scale it down a little bit as well so that it's a little thinner. That's why I created a little higher, a little taller this shape, so I can change the size of it if I need to. And next, we're going to have to change the angle. Let's see if that works. Okay, that works. I like the angle, but I need a little more size and a little more spacing. Yeah, it kind of works. Now I'm gonna put my brush over here. I'm gonna click once and just paint like that. If if for some reason you don't have a steady hand and you do something like that, a nice trick is to just click once, press and hold the shift key and drag. This will create a straight line. Even if you go, even if you move the brush like that, you can see I'm underneath that, but it's still creating a straight line. So that's the trick. Click, press and hold the shift key and drag, and that's it. And that's how I created this. I'm gonna duplicate it with shift, with alt, click and drag on the brush, on that layer, and I'm gonna flip it horizontally just for the sake of it, so that I have the pattern on opposing angles. And that's it. Control H to hide everything, to hide those guides, and my sign is ready. Now we have to create that distress effect on it, that dirt and scratches on it. I'm going to use textures for that. Now I used textures from Deposit Photos. I've been using them. I've been using photos from Deposit Photos for years now. They are the cheapest one that you can find. They have really flexible plans. You have a link down on the description if you want to go and grab images from there. For this particular tutorial, you'll have these textures on the resources folder on a smaller resolution. But if you want to use photos for commercial projects or for clients, Deposit Photos is the one that I've been using for years, more than 5 years now, and they have really great images, and they're really the most affordable ones that you can find. So let's open that image, those textures. As I said, I'm gonna do it quicker if I go into the Finder because I have the folder opened. Okay, let's go back to zombie sign. Okay, here are the two textures. This is the first one and this is the second one. Let's start with this one. This will create a dirt on our sign, so let's drag it on top of our design. So just drag it on top of all the layers that you have. Make sure you expand it so that it covers everything. And I'm going to change the blend mode of this to, let's multiply will work, definitely. Linear burn could also work, and darker color, no. So the first group here, which is the multiply, let's start with linear burn, but of course we have to desaturate this because it's going to add some color tint, which is not what we want. So I'm going to press Ctrl-Command-U and drop the saturation. Now it's still not looking nice because let me increase a little bit the brightness of my screen. It's not looking nice because it's darkening it too much. So you can use levels by pressing Ctrl-Command-L. This is a smart object, so everything that I add here is gonna be a smart filter, and you can increase this a little bit like so. So we can control the amount of dirt by using the sliders here, basically the highlights and the midtones. For my taste, that's too dark. I'm gonna increase this and lower this, something like that. And next we can add the scratches using that other stock image. Okay, I'm gonna put that right over here. Now, since this has a black dominant color, what we're gonna do is first make it a little bigger because this white part, I think it's too bright. You can use the multiply and use the levels to change stuff, or you can use the screen blend mode. And then of course you have to use levels again, just to darken a little bit the highlights, because the scratches, well, the light here is too strong. And the midtone, let's see how we can deal with that. Pretty much there, I think it looks nice. It looks kind of bright in this part over here, but I'm gonna leave it like that. Actually, you can download textures from the internet, like grunge textures. I think I have like another one on the other folder. Yeah, this one over here. Just look for rust textures or grungy textures and use the blend modes and you're good to go. I could increase the size of this. Let me just turn it like that. And this has white on it, so I'm going to change the blend mode to multiply. And you can see how it looks like. Of course, I have to desaturate it a little bit and use levels. And that's it. And now we can move it around to find the perfect spot. And you can add even more dirt on it. But this is essentially how it looks like. And that's how I created this danger sign in Photoshop. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up on this video. And if you are not following me, I encourage you to go to my channel and take a look at the videos that I post there and subscribe. That's all for today. I'm Andrei, and we'll see you next time.